Hello and welcome to Community Chats. I'm Aley Hammer, and today we're joined with Neil Maclure, the Head of Cloud and Technology Services over at CoverMore. Neil, welcome to the show. CoverMore is a global brand with multiple subsidiaries, but for those who might not know, can you start by telling our audience a little bit about CoverMore?
Thank you so much, Ali. It's a pleasure to be talking to you today. It's wonderful to be in the offices of AWS as well. To your earlier question, CoverMore, for those that are not aware, is a global brand. We are a global insurance company. We started up in Sydney now about 36 years ago in 1986, and through these last 36 years, we've grown to be a global brand. We specialize predominantly in travel insurance, but we also have medical assistance and employee assistance as well. For those, again, that don't know, we fit into a much broader and much larger, our mothership, as I like to call it, is the Zurich business, which I'm sure our audience know well and truly about.
Thank you so much, Neil. And CoverMore has recently gone through its very successful migration in APAC. So why did you choose the cloud, and specifically, why did you choose AWS?
Oh, that's a two-part question, if you don't mind, Ali. I'll try and break it up and see if I can do justice to that question. So the first part is why cloud. This was actually top of mind. We did have a compelling event in the business, and when I meant a compelling event, what that was is we all of a sudden were faced with a data center exit. So we had to get out of our data centers within 6 months. We were given a 6-month notice period, and we had to get out of it. So that compelling event, we looked at where we were, and we looked at how we can actually strategically go forward. There was absolutely no point in moving from tin to tin, as I like to call it, from a pizza box setup to another pizza box setup. It just didn't make sense. So when we first were faced with this compelling event, I sat down with our ELT and I positioned that either ways we wanted to get to the cloud, but the compelling event accelerated that. So number one was a compelling event, which is the data center exit. The other aspect was flexibility and scalability. CoverMore as a group is growing exponentially, especially now that we're out of the pandemic. What we're seeing in the marketplace is we are exponentially, the interest from our customer base is exponentially growing. And we always knew that operating out of, if you like, our data centers was a limitation. It presented scalability issues, it presented flexibility issues in how we actually service our customers, etc. So the second one was flexibility and scalability. But then we also knew that moving to the cloud would significantly enhance our BCP, our business continuity planning, and our disaster recovery posture. Straight away from moving from data centers and into the cloud, that gave us that capability, which we never had before. And that was an area from an audit perspective. We were constantly having to double down and triple down, and a lot of effort was going into that area. So moving to the cloud there again, it was a no-brainer. Data, the other aspect was data, enabling an effective data strategy. Again, having all of our workloads, etc., sitting in on-prem, it kind of locks you in many ways from a data and a data execution perspective. By unlocking it and by moving to the cloud, that automatically started to unlock what we could do with our data, how we could actually get data to present new customers to us. So we are right now right in the middle of trying to work out how we can leverage that data strategy, and we wouldn't be here without the enabling of the cloud, or the enabling the cloud. And lastly, but most importantly, we are growing rapidly within various regions of the globe. And as part of that, one of our pain points, or one of the points that we are trying to very quickly get better at, is our target operating model. Now, moving into one central platform globally in various different geographies makes that possible. So for all these 5-6 different data points, it just was absolutely obvious as to why we should be moving to the cloud. And to your part two of your question, Ali, which I'm very passionate about in the background as well, is why AWS? For us, AWS was the most fit for purpose hyperscaler in the market. AWS simply, the team at AWS, it was the people at AWS, it's the products, it's the services, it's the customer obsession that you bring to the table. So, but all of that was the soft aspects. The real aspects for us is security-wise, AWS absolutely stood out. And it was a no-brainer. If we wanted to secure our workload, secure our platforms, etc., with AWS's enhanced security and virtual organization, etc., it was a no-brainer. So security, scalability, backups, flexibility, and more importantly, AWS, you just get us. As a business, you understand who we are. You understand the levers that we need, that we have within the business, and you actually understood that we were going through a pandemic. In a pandemic situation, a travel insurance brand takes the biggest hit. And you were right beside us. When we set up our operations in EMEA, you stood right beside us. And we asked you to pivot and scale and deliver within months. You absolutely delivered on that. So when it came to addressing our APAC issues, it was no-brainer. AWS was the obvious choice.
Wow, Neil, what a testimonial. I mean, I always ask that question to every single customer I interview, but that is definitely one of the best responses I've ever heard. Thank you so much. That's so great to hear that. And we feel the exact same way about you guys at CoverMore. So thank you so much for that. Neil, I know when you move to the cloud, there are often challenges, of course. You know, when you're transitioning to AWS, there are big icebergs that get in the way. So how did you overcome them? And also, were there any, parts of the business that were quite reluctant to move to AWS? I know you had that, 6-month kind of time limit. So for you guys, it might have been a little bit easier to persuade the leadership team. But I did want to know, was anyone reluctant? And also, what were some of those big challenges that you did overcome?
Again, Aley, I'll try and do justice to your question. That's actually a very pertinent and a very top of mind question for a lot of transformations that happen. So why do we firstly, I find when you're looking at a transformation program, the bigger the obstacles or the larger the challenges, I find that makes the transformation to any customer all the more meaningful. And tackling those big boulders up front and addressing them and unpacking them with the various blended teams and our partners right beside us, it just makes it even more satisfying when you're sitting in front of your ELT, you're sitting in front of your board and basically saying, this is where we were last year, and look what we've done with our partners this year. That makes a transformation all the more satisfying. And then again, it comes down to that customer obsession, basically enabling that journey. But to answer your question a lot more directly, Aley, I think the biggest challenge in a transformation program or a cloud migration program is that education piece. It's that basically making sure that your ELT, right from your ELT, right down through to your, the other various teams that the developer teams, etc., they're all on the same page, and they understand the vision, they understand what's at stake, and they understand, when we get to that end state, what it unlocks, the various opportunities that it unlocks, not just for our internal people, but for our customers. That is the exciting part, and also the biggest challenge as well, is making sure that the various teams come together and are all on the same page and understand the challenge in front of you.
Some great advice there, Neil. Thank you so much. I mean, you've successfully migrated to the cloud already. So what is next for CoverMore in terms of modernization or product innovation? Can you give us some insight into that?
Aley, that's again a lovely question, and if you don't mind, I feel like a teenager who has the keys to a Ferrari, sitting in the garage, and our ELT also feel the same way, I should say. We're now we've just moved into a brand new platform, and we've got this brand new platform, and we're starting to work out, okay, where do we go from here? And top of mind for us is there's 4 pillars or 4 key areas we'd like to start exploring. Is, one is our data strategy, and what does it actually mean to redefine our data strategy, to figure out what a modern data architecture looks like on AWS. That's the first thing. We just need to work out, okay, you've got this dash, like what does that dashboard do, and how do we leverage it to—
That's the question, right? The $1 million question. You have the data, what do you do with it?
What do we do with it, and how can we get the data to give us a view of our customers that we've never been able to see before? And what does a modern data architecture for the enterprise looks like? All this is very exciting for us. So that's the first piece. The second piece is, all of a sudden, being on a platform now gives us the ability to modernize our core platforms. As you know, the insurance tech stack is a very unique type of stack and requires a lot of TLC. So now that we're basically on AWS, what does that mean? Can we move to an RTS state? What does the elastic containerizations or container services actually do for us? That again, top of mind, very exciting. The teams underneath, the teams that basically work with these on a day-to-day basis are ecstatic about it. It's like new toys. Optimization and education. Given this is a consumption-driven model, what's top of mind for a lot of us is we need to start educating the business on, this being a consumption-driven model, the behaviors that come with it, or the behaviors that basically we need to leverage to make this work for us. We need to vigorously execute and drive optimization, visibility through the businesses. One of the end states that we have in mind that we'd like to execute, and again, we're a bit far, we're sort of a couple of months, is to be able to give the business units those levers to see what exactly, what consumption actually means. And so for them to be able to know exactly, today we're dropping a product and tomorrow our cost base is going to grow by X percentage. That's a very powerful lever. And that's something that us being able to provide the business, that is an even more powerful lever. It all of a sudden starts to unlock, visibility, transparency, and it starts to give you that view on exactly how effective a product can be in the marketplace. I suppose that's that point of it. And lastly, but and the last point, I suppose, Aley, is innovation. Now that we are on a performant and a scalable platform, a key ask from the business is to clearly articulate how does that play now into our appetite to innovate. What does that mean for product innovation? Now that we've got the tools to be able to innovate, what does that actually mean? And how can we leverage that to drive innovation through the business? So these are some things that are top of mind. And if you find your way into CoverMore one day and you sort of eavesdrop on a conversation, you'll find that these are some of the things that we're talking about. And this is from a place of excitement. So that's where we are. I hope I've answered your question, Aley.
Absolutely. I mean, you make tech very exciting. We love partnering with you, Neil. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing the cloud journey. And, as I mentioned, you're so infectious, your love for technology. And as you say, it's like the keys to the Ferrari. So we're so glad that you enjoy the tech stack as much as we do. And we've just loved partnering with you. So thank you so much, Neil. If anyone has any questions about CoverMore or any of the tech that they're using, please pop them in the comment section below and we'll get back to you. Thanks so much, Neil.
Thank you, Aley. Much appreciated. Thank you for your time.